Hello, everyone. We are live. We are here for episode 5. Y'all have been sticking with me for 5 episodes, 2 weeks. I am so grateful for y'all for the My Vulva and Me series. I am Brittany Broaddus-Smith, founder of the intimacy firm and creator and host of My Vulva and Me. This episode is Around the Way Girl, where we will be looking at messages in media and music that regarding body image, sexuality, Black women, and all the things. That have two of some bomb Black women with me that I've known for some time, and I absolutely adore. I have stories, what I'm here for. Nonetheless, I'm going to let them introduce themselves. We have Goody Howard and Jennifer Driver. Whoever wants to go first can go ahead and introduce yourself to the people, please.
Sure, I will do it. I am Jennifer Driver. What is in this intro? She, her pronouns. I do policy, sex ed, and all the things in between. So I'm really excited to be here tonight.
Oh, hey, Jen. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you. I've been fanning of you since I met you, since before we did our Healthy Teen panel together. I saw your bio and I was like, yeah, that's somebody I need to get to know. And I'm so glad that I don't know if I'm your friend, but you're definitely my friend.
No, you are. We're friends. This is right.
Goody Howard. Everybody.
I'm up here loving this. I'm like, oh yay. My name is Goody Howard. I'm gonna say Goody Howard MSW MPH.
Come on here,
I should have said all of those. I paid for those.
Okay, come on, alphabet. Come on, alphabet.
And then let us not forget that she is the first graduate.
The first and only graduate.
The first and only. Come on, tell the people.
Of the Master of Public Health program at UT Arlington. And I just finished it, so I was fresh, I just got I was class of 2019 and class of 2020. So my alphabets are fresh, and so I just want to make it rain with all the letters. But my name is Goody Howard. I am a sexologist, educator, consultant. I do the pleasure stuff and the professional development stuff. So pronouns are she, her, and my other pronoun we're not gonna say because of the holiness of our audience.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so because this episode is titled Around the Way Girl, we will be looking at some music and things in hip hop. I thought it appropriate to do our icebreaker this time around. We want to do a couple Hot 16. Okay, and what that is, we're going to do some rapid fire questions where I was just simple this or that question. So I'm gonna read them off real fast. You'll take it. We'll do. I'll start with Jennifer first, then I'll go with you, Goody, and you just say the first answer that comes to your mind, so we can get to know you a little better. Okay, that's cool.
Okay.
I got it. Okay. So, big party or small gathering?
Small gathering.
New clothes or new phone?
Say it one more time.
New clothes or new phone?
New phone.
Rich friend or loyal friend?
Loyal. Football
or basketball?
Football.
Work hard or play hard?
Play hard.
Nice car or nice house?
I don't have either. I was kidding. Nice house.
What's worse, laundry or dishes?
I'm gonna say laundry because you can put the dishes in the dishwasher.
Okay, jogging or hiking?
Jogging.
Bath or shower?
Shower.
Sneakers or sandals?
Sandals because it's hot.
Glasses or contacts?
Contacts.
Hamburger or taco?
Tacos.
Couch or recliner?
Couch.
Online or in-store shopping?
Online. I hate people.
Emails or letters?
Emails.
Passenger or driver?
Passenger.
Sex or food?
It depends on who I'm with.
That gut feelings. This is a Hot 16.
Sex. I was kidding.
She had to check.
Okay. All right. Good. Are you ready? You like the same set or a different set?
I don't care. You the host. I'm just,
I just want to. It's up to you.
I'm a passenger. You're driving. Go ahead.
Okay, so we're going to go with a different set. Then,
Okay.
Dog or cat?
Mm-mm.
Dog or cat?
Or I hate those. No.
We are educators. We have to follow instructions. This is a forced choice activity.
Okay, fine. Dogs.
Netflix or YouTube?
Netflix.
Phone or text?
Text.
Toast or eggs?
Eggs.
Cardio or lifting?
Cardio.
Facebook or Twitter?
Facebook.
Ice cream or snow cone?
Snow cones.
Mobile games or console games? So iPhone games or Xbox or something like that?
Xbox.
Music or podcast?
Music.
iOS or Android?
Android.
Oh, this is where it ends.
This is great.
I have a tool, not a toy. Okay, don't be a hater.
I'm trying to. Y'all two are mandated reporters, and I'm trying to compose myself. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. Woo, child. Pop or hip hop?
Hip hop.
Cake or pie?
Cake.
Swimming or hiking?
Swimming.
Who's hiking?
What is hiking? Who or what is a hike?
Like hiking.
Not doing it.
High tech or low tech?
High tech.
Blue or red?
Ooh. Red.
Money or free time?
Huh?
Money or free time?
Oh, damn.
Wow.
Free time?
Sex or food?
Sex.
All right. There we go. That was the hot sex.
That was hard.
Yes.
The money or the free time. I don't. Can I have one without the other? I don't know.
I know it. Some of these I was like, except for iOS or Android, like.
Listen, I have a lot of cross functionality with my Android that I wouldn't get with an iPhone, and I prefer it. I could probably do iPhone, but the thing about iPhone is once you buy an Apple product, if you want your stuff to talk to each other, you have to buy other Apple products. It's a cult. I'm not doing it.
It's true, and it's like Apple. They time it out right so that it breaks right before the new product. So that's how they do it. But I know. But when I want to see those dots coming back at me.
Do you hear me? What I'm saying? I need to know that you got. I needed to say
dots.
No.
I get dots, but I only get dots, I guess, from other Android people. But like, I don't even have like when I'm thinking about the functionality and all of that and the updates, like everything. My phone does everything that iPhones do and have been doing so for like the last 10 years. Like y'all get a new upgrade and it's some stuff that
Droid folks say. They always say that.
I keep talking that y'all. It's like a script that they have. Like they all say
I'm just saying because I used to do when I was in undergrad, I used to sell cell phones. And so I pay attention to like that kind of stuff. I've never run out of data. What is a running out of data? I've never had that issue. My stepdaughter had to delete some apps because she didn't want to buy more. So she had to delete stuff. I was like, what life is that? I don't want that. Just so I can have an emoji. No, I'm cool.
And then like when you I love y'all may not know, but I love Goody. Like when first time I met Goody at Sister Song, I was coming down the escalator and she was walking at there. Let me tell you something. And I found Tanya and I was like, and she was like, girl, I know. I was like,
right, because Tanya was like, it's Goody, right? Exactly.
Right, and I'm just losing my mind. However, when I texted her for the first time and that bubble came up green,
and you just died a little bit.
I said,
you're gonna break over because of my Android.
I said, this is not gonna work. But okay, so that was our icebreaker and slight detour. But the things that don't judge, Goody is an amazing educator who knows all the things. Don't judge
my Android.
Her poor choice and false. I can't even do it. So,
oh my gosh,
I'm going to jump right in, right? And I am going to say 2 words, and you all are going to respond as your heart sees fit. Okay? Tip drill.
It is the gift and the curse, is it not?
Say more.
I mean, we don't. I think we a lot of times we discount the weight that media has in culture, and so there was a definite shift. You could hear the record scratch when Tip Drill came out.
She froze. Okay,
culturally, as far as
so you froze a little bit. So the last part we heard, you can hear the record scratch a little bit when Tip Drill came out. That was the
you can hear the record scratch. Like there was a definite shift in the culture, and if you look at the music before and after, you can see the influence of music like Trip Drill. Like as soon as they did that, it was like, oh, now we have permission to do this other stuff. I'm not going to front and say that I was not in the age group that was jamming that. I'm not going to front and say that I was not twerking to it, but looking back, on it, I see the impact that it had. But at the time, it was just a song to me. But I was, I was young.
I mean, I was twerking or trying to twerk to it. I would see the video and I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to make this this butt bounce correctly. But like, I was very clear that I was not video vixen's like status. And I mean that as like so at the time that song came out, I was living in Atlanta, and all of its glory. And so I knew like everybody wanted a Tip Drill, right? It wasn't my face, it was my ass. And when you are flat walking around Atlanta, it's not as hot, when these songs are coming out. And so yeah. And then like people were like, ooh, let me get that credit card. And, and like for what? Like, no, I'm good.
That's when I lost it though. When the credit card, I was like, oh! when I was watching BET Uncut and I saw the video, I was like, okay. And I was like, is he?
And
I don't know.
And for me, I was, I don't know where I fall in the age range, but let's just say I was born in 1988. So there's that.
Wait, what?
88.
We're not gonna do that. We will not.
Listen.
No shame in blaming on this.
Just how you felt about my iPhone. Just know.
And so, and you'll see like a little pre-show.
You said 88, right?
1988. Okay. 1988. I was born, and we had this little pre-show talk, and there was some reference that I didn't have the knowledge of where it came from. So we'll get to that later. But for me, so I was born in 88, and when Tip Drill came out, I was just in high school.
High school, probably.
Was just. I think it came out when I was.
Were you? It was in 2000. It came out in 2000.
Yes, so I was not even in high school. I
Middle
was
school.
8th grade.
8th grade, yeah.
I graduated in 2005, yes. Don't say nothing, Jennifer. I knew it. It's coming. So when I saw Tip Drill, number one, I had to sneak and watch BT Uncut.
I was going to say, you didn't even.
I wasn't even allowed to be up. That's the first thing. And I also was at boarding school. So it really was a risk to sneak downstairs past my house parents' bedroom to get to BET, which they didn't even really want us to have, but you cannot have 350 Black kids in Chambersburg, PA, and not have BET.
Right.
So yes, I was at boarding school when I saw Tip Drill, and I was just like, the impact of it for me is I feel more alarming as an adult as I look back, because I thought of all the attention that those women were getting. And I said to I'm never going to be half naked on TV doing any of that because my mom's not going to play that. But how great it would be to be desired in that way. So what non-television performance or activity or behavior or look could I have to get to have people drooling over me? So when you think about, when you say, I think you said it good, that we don't think about the power of media. What is something like, I don't know what equivalent Tip Drill would be today, because the music today, I just like, what is
it? Would be the City Girls.
City Girls, what? Oh, twerk video.
The City Girls movement, like the City Girls, Meg, all of them.
So what does that we think about Tip Drill, we think about City Girl, Meg, all of them. And we think about social media and where we're shifting, how we're moving as a society. What does that do or run the risk? Because all of us may not have been susceptible to it. But what risk do we run when images like that are pervasive in society? Not even just in our culture, but just in society, period. What is the risk that we run when it comes as it relates to Black women and girls?
I mean, I think for me, who grew up in a predominantly white area, and then started, kind of moving along in space and like listening to different things, and not saying that I put value on on my worth on that, but like I knew that in my mind I had to look a certain way. I needed to be able to dance or do certain things in the bedroom that I clearly was not going to be able to do. Like I was going to break a hip trying to twerk or do something to measure up. And then I also felt like my partner then also expected me to do those things because he had been watching these things and he had been expecting this kind of outcome because he had been watching this. I don't know. For me, I felt like it was a standard thing that I needed to measure up to. And that was just me personally. And it's more weight than I probably should have put on myself from a song. But it was something that I, tried to see if I was measuring up to be that vixen type of person and just in life and in the bedroom.
Yeah. Yeah. I was 20 when Tip Drill came out.
Okay.
So I was in college, away from home, and going to parties and stuff like that. So, in Houston in the summer, it was a wrap. Like I've not been fat my whole life, but I was fat in college. I was already fat in college. I got a freshman 50, not a freshman 15. So it was a different, like just being a fat girl navigating that, being a girl in a bigger body, navigating like she said, the expectations that you put on yourself, that you see other people kind of modeling, that they're absorbing. It just piles on to your already compromised worth, right? Your perception of your value and what your partners are now expecting, or any of that. Even if you don't have any partners, your potential partners, like the dating pool now, these dudes are watching the same stuff you're watching, or these people. If you're not with dudes, whatever, these folks that you're looking to date are looking at the same stuff you're looking at. And so I think there are some negative impacts, but I also think that we had lots of conversations.
Okay.
And so I remember being the only person that was like, well, if she didn't like it, the swipe or whatever, that was a swipe heard around the world, if these women didn't want to be here in these situations, would they have been? And they're like, well, that's not feminist. That's not this. And I was like, well, if the thought process is that they're empowered to make their own choices, then why can't we just, respect their choices and consume the entertainment as it's presented? But there was a lot of, I live in the South. I'm in Dallas, Texas. So Texas is the buckle of the Bible Belt. So we have, there's a lot of unpacking to do.
Yeah.
And just kind of even from the way you dress, and I went to University of Houston. So Houston is humid, it's hot, it's 108 degrees on a regular day. So you're already dressing different, and then these videos come out, and that it creates an expectation with a girl that dresses like that. You know what I'm saying? So I think like I said, you could hear the record scratch. You could feel the shift. It was very palpable when it came out. And I feel like now with the City Girls and Meg and all of that, there are some positives about that stuff. Like even with the video with the City Girls and Cardi B, there were no men in the video. It was just a bunch of women in swimsuits dancing, having a good time.
The twerk video?
Yeah. They was just twerking and having a good time. There were no men in that video. It was not, there was nobody grinding up on the girls. It was a bunch of women having fun together. So if we now how they were built and how real their bodies are, or what that messaging sends to other girls. There's that, but there's also not a man in sight, and we have a good time together. You know, Meg is still in college, and she makes it clear that she's still in college. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are some, I think in the times that we have now, especially with social media and all of that, there's a lot more transparency for the people that are creating the media that we consume. And so I think we are actively trying to find bright spots. You know what I'm saying?
Too. I mean, I feel like maybe they did this before I knew that they were like unpacking and talking through. But I think you're right. Like, so Tip Drill, I remember folks having these really in-depth conversations about that video when it came, about the song when it came out. I remember Atlanta people were talking about even paying your the women in the videos at the time, and there was this like pay equity conversations that were happening. You're like, oh, all of this coming out of Tip, you know, and so I feel like now we're having more in-depth conversations and talking about what pleasure looks like and what sex looks like and what it means to own your own sexuality in a way that I wasn't a part of those conversations, you know, back in the day. But now I feel, maybe it's because I'm in this space working in sex ed, I feel like now that these songs are, you know, we are having like what it means to be a Black woman and owning your space, you know, your sexuality. It's interesting, Goody, because you had talked about how you were fat in college. I was like 90 pounds soaking wet. And like on the other side, and you're like trying to put on the clothes that, you know, that you're seeing in these videos, and they're just hanging off of you. It looks beautiful, you know, and even on the reverse side of like what that looks like. So, and like what that means to own your sexuality, you know, in that space too.
But that's also the difference about this movement that we have now versus what we had with Tip Drill. With Tip Drill, it was a man, his song, it must be your ass because it ain't your face.
Right.
And all these women that are the props for the video.
That's exactly
now,
right.
The women's real ass give up by the, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're like, yeah, it's what now we are driving. We are not the passengers in these conversations. And I think that is where Black girls get to show up and have conversations with their elders and intergenerational conversations about this kind of stuff. Because the women are now, we are the ones making that content. It's not someone doing it to us necessarily.
Right. And you know, and another like layered conversation in that is, and I agree, as I said, I'm all for autonomy and asexual agency and, you know, reclaiming and, you know, things like that. But then the question is, who, like what you said about City Girls, where it's not a man in that video, it was just a bunch of women having a grand old time. Absolutely. But then we think about the content is created and whose gaze is created for. And although there have been any men in the video, is content like that still created for male gaze and still in some way subjugatory? Or is it because of the creators of the content, by definition, it removes it from
the
state?
It doesn't remove the gaze at all. I think also we have to address internalized misogyny.
Correct.
We perpetuate that stuff on each other quicker than the men do. You know what I'm saying? So I think that from my perspective, I think that it's always going to be just as a result of patriarchy and misogyny, the male gaze is always going to be there. What has to happen is when people start having those conversations, we have to go, oh, but it wasn't necessarily for you. Everything we do ain't for y'all. We get to have joy and be with our friends, and it's hot, so we got on swimsuits and we just happen to be fine. I'm sorry that my fineness, that you're attracted to my fineness, that's not like a you thing. That's not a me
But I
thing.
don't exist for your gaze.
Yeah, I did it for me. Just because you was looking, congratulations, you're welcome. Yeah. My Cashapp is, you know.
Exactly. And so I actually, when I was sitting with Jennifer, I had this conversation like literally 10 minutes before we started about this for us, by us type of concept, that when certain content is made by a certain group of people for a certain group of people, then folks who are critiquing it that sit on the outside, not really a part of the culture it was created for or created by, do really have the right to have a say in things that may not necessarily be made for you. And the argument was that certain songs like Tip Drill, women wouldn't necessarily have a say in it being degrading or whether it was appropriate or not, because it wasn't made for women. It was made by Black men for black men. So what are your thoughts on critiquing imagery that may not necessarily be for you? And I said, and the added caveat to that is, when I think about tip drill and I think about the impact it had on me personally as a child and how I just desired to be desired in that way. But then fast forward 10 years and I'm sitting in a class in school, get my degree in human sexuality. And when they talk about the Jezebel stereotype, they bring up the tip drill video, and I immediately get on the defense. Like, first of all, that's not, I've become defensive when I know that I can see the connections, but as a white woman standing in front of me talking about the Jezebel stereotype Black women, I became defensive and immediately decided I didn't want to see what I saw. So
I mean,
what
Karen just needs to sit down. Like that's another. Karen can shut the hell up.
No. Okay. Do we have a say in things, or should we have an opinion about things, or is it? And I think the conversation I was having was about it being almost irresponsible to have a conversation or opinion about things that wasn't created for our consumption. But my argument was that it was absolutely created for our consumption because it's about power and control and all that. But that maybe it's just be my
we consume in different ways.
Okay.
So some people make the food, some people eat the food.
Okay.
So everybody eat the food, then they get something different from it. I don't know that it's irresponsible to have an opinion about media that was not created for you, because white people do it all the time. I do think I think everyone is entitled to their opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe in freedom of speech, whether I agree with it or not. However, the speech that's free also comes with free consequences.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have your opinion,
mm-hmm.
but there may be consequences. There may be blowback. There may be fallout from those opinions. And who gets to decide who is what consumed for whom?
Right. And it's almost like, unless you had a conversation with that creator where the creator said, I made this for this group, mm-hmm. how would you really know? That's good. So I want to look at, dig in a little bit more to the messaging. And this particularly, we talk about some of the unhealthy, I'm using that word cautiously, but maybe not as risk aware promotion of activities as it relates to sex and some of our music. And so, or some of the music. I don't know if it's ours. I don't know if y'all listen to the same kind of music. But so we talked about the twerk video, talked about City Girls. So they have a song, Twerk, which we just talked about, where the verse one, Young Miami enters it with, do it, baby, stick it, baby, move it, baby, lick it, baby. And I'm like, okay, move it, baby, stick it. Like, I'm there. But then she says, suck on that clit until the pee gets a hickey, baby. And then I was just like, do you want that? A hickey on your clitoris? Is that a thing that we want? Is that like a preference thing, or is that like nobody wants that? What's so funny? I mean, help me understand, because I said no, that's gonna hurt. But
I the first time I heard it, I was like, but I don't think we can take it literally. I mean, you can't be like, suck on the vulva until you get it. Like, she's
no, but they like, so I remember, so I think about that, and I think about my time when I was teaching sex ed to Boys and Girls Club students. They were 11 to 13, and they were like taking this stuff literally, like really taking this in, and like, this is what you do, and this is what's supposed to happen, and like, you're having to really process with them, like, wait, hold on, let's actually think about what it is that you're saying and what they're saying and what that is. And like, so like, they are taking this literally.
Right. Right. And it's important to know that although you have a album or music that has the parental advisory sticker on it, folks aren't really abiding by that anymore. we can consume music in a number of ways.
Yeah, downloads.
Yeah,
and
I've rarely noticed those anymore.
Right, and
I don't even know. I don't have nothing to play a CD on right now.
Right, and my laptop does not have a disk drive, and
Mine doesn't either.
You don't need it.
Like, what? So, but the thing is that we, as an adult, I know I can think of metaphors and imagery. I'm like, you just want really good, powerful oral sex. Yeah, but can children or youth or adolescents who may not have that or never been thought to critically think in that way or critically assess music or think it's just entertainment, as Jennifer said, may actually be taking these things literally. And when we're looking at internalizing certain things, and we look at and I know for sure, like I was a grown adult, and when Trina said, I know how to ride, I can spin around and keep the still inside, I immediately knew that at some point in my life, I need to try that. And the thing that was a skill set that I need to.
And I don't want to put it all on young people. Like there are some adults that may take that literally, and you're like tapping them on the head, like, all right, you need to get up now. Because you're still down. And so like, I just didn't want to put it all on young people. I feel like there are some grown adults.
Right, but the thing is that is because the lack of comprehensive pleasure-centered sexuality education has been lacking for years. We just happen to be the generation to say, okay, enough is enough. And like there's some pioneers in the past that said like, okay, we need to shift the conversation. And what really is at the core of it for me is understanding what sex ed is and isn't. And so I think a lot of times what serves as a barrier is because there's like a look to what sex ed is and some promotion and things like that. And so people don't think that they need to understand the sensitivity of the 8,000 nerve endings of the clitoris to understand that you remember getting a hickey on your neck, and
that's crazy.
That took
that kind of pressure is no, but it could also be a kink. It could be a kink. It could be, so there may be some people that actually like that, that kind of pressure, that amount of suction and all of that. But I think those, it's not mine, but I'm not going to yuck someone else's yum. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about people that don't know any better and think that that's legit sex advice. I clicked on the live comments. I don't know why I did that.
That's fine.
So now,
I didn't even know that that's a thing.
Yeah, you see, and so somebody said, should parents be in control of the conversation about the administration of music? Okay, that's cute. And if you're a Huxtable and you only have your child 24/7 and they don't go anywhere or do anything, then yes. However, if they go to school, if they have friends, if they have cousins, if they watch television, if they use the internet, if they use your phone, if they use a tablet, music is in everything. And so you can't, first of all, parenting is about guidance. So what happens is you need to be having conversations with your kids all the time about this stuff so that when they're confronted with it in the street and they're not with you, they make the right choices. But you're not going to be able to control that all the time. You're not going to be with your child all the time. And so we have to prepare them for success when we're not standing next to them.
Absolutely. So thank you for that. So now I'm going to show my age again here.
Oh, Lord.
I'm going to do this line and just know that this group is not who I think of when I hear face down, butt up. That's the way.
That's the way we like to.
Now,
who immediately comes to mind when you?
I know who you do.
But to y'all, who immediately came to mind? Two Live Crew.
Yeah.
Ludacris comes to mind.
Bless her heart. Bless her heart.
Oh,
that's the way we fog alert, rip the pants.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
That's where I go with that. So
that's so funny.
Don't just me. So we're preparing for this episode and I looked at Two Live Crew up and I saw that. I was like, is that where Ludacris from? And then I had to search them to say, did Ludacris come first? Like, who is Two Live Crew? What does this even mean?
What's happening?
Do not.
Right, you see, we made the same face. We made the same face. We was like,
and so I found that there was a point in time where Two Live Crew's lyrics
banned in the U.S. say.
More because they got a bit out of control. In this particular lyric, verse 2 by Brother Marquise, is it? He says, face down, A up. That's the way we like to. I like the butt. It's my favorite position. I'm tired of the front, so that's why I'm be itchy.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk, how do in a positive way, because still listen to this, I'm like, but that's just my own stuff. But how in a positive way can music, if at all, give language to sexual expression?
You just said it.
Yes.
He advocated for anal sex loud and clear.
Like you know what it is he likes. What he wants. You know what he likes. You know the position he wants. You know it.
Yep. Even with Fantasy by Ludacris, he spells it out for you. And I love that song. Oh my God.
I want to lick. He's telling you. And you know, one of the things that somebody was a group of girlfriends and I, one of them who is she is the queen of the Bible Belt. So we were talking about kind of positions and sex, and like I was telling them all these things, and I felt her blushing. But we were talking about fantasies and like, could you communicate your fantasy? And she was like, no, I couldn't do this. And I'm like, here's a song where he is clearly wanting to know what's your fantasy. Like, how can I communicate to this? Now that may not have been the original intent of this, but like now when I look at it, I was like, let me be able to communicate my fantasy, and let me be able to communicate my position that I want. Let me, and I think we have, we don't get taught enough about being communicated, during sex, and like, here's what I like. Here, now when I can see these questions, these chats, someone put, what if she likes it? Fine, communicate that, and so I don't know. Maybe this is the wine kicking in.
I have water, and I agree with you. Okay,
right, and I agree with you.
Alkaline, and I'm with you.
I agree with you as well. And the thing is that the one of my other fave sexologists, Shamira, she has a deck of cards called Use Your Mouth, and she's very big on just that thing, like speaking up what you want, and even when working to develop that intimate connection with your partner or whoever, like that's how you get to what you want. And I think a lot of times as women, we've been almost socialized to just take what comes,
what they give you, and you get stuck with bad sex.
Exactly. Because we don't talk about pleasure, because we don't talk about if it's supposed to feel good. We're gonna, they're gonna beat the pussy up. They're gonna tear it up. They're gonna smash. They're gonna hit. They're gonna,
I'm supposed to be okay with that without communicating. Like, I actually don't like that. Like, don't beat my.
We don't do it, but that's why, like, it's masturbation month right now, right? May is masturbation month, and I think I'm always talking to women about, I don't do that or whatever, and I'm like, well, if you don't own your own orgasm, you can't communicate that to your partner. And I have male partners that have sex with women. I have male clients that have sex with women that say they can tell the difference between a woman that masturbates and a woman that doesn't, because the woman that masturbates is more connected to her orgasm. She's more connected to her pleasure. She can communicate it, because it's not always this. It's not always talking and telling the partner what it is. Sometimes it is showing. Sometimes I'm just going to grab your hand and put it where I need it to be. You know what I'm saying? And so you don't learn that stuff in school. You learn that stuff from Explore. It's a practicum, if you will. It's an applied knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So you have to kind of explore and figure it out. And I don't think that the conversation around pleasure, the conversation around masturbation specifically, is penis shaped. We know when a boy turned 12 and his showers get longer, we know what's going on. We don't talk to little girls about how to handle their urges and desires, and how things should feel, and that pleasure is actually a part of it. It is not just for reproduction and all these other things. That conversation with young women does not happen. So,
and it's almost additionally, it's that we've had this idea, and I think this is not germane to any particular culture or race, where sex is a certain thing. It looks like a certain way, and so when then with porn and issues with that, and how like it's created this unrealistic expectations where you have to show up in a bedroom on a bed just so, looking this way, with your body responding this way. There's countless songs that glorify this ever-running pool of vaginal juices that never stop, never dries up, and then almost pejorative idea that something like this concept of like a spit start or any other ways that you had this idea that women are less than if they don't show up in this particular way. So then when I talk to women, I'm like, buy some Uberlube, which is one of my favorites, because get ready. It's almost like if it doesn't happen naturally, that there's something wrong. Just like if they don't reach orgasm every single time, that wrong. And there's another lyric from a young man by the name of Nasir Jones, I believe. We had a little diddly some years ago called Uchi Wally.
Uchi Wally Wally, Uchi. That's why I got my tongue pierced, because of that song. Okay, I'm
so catchy it is. And I was way too young to know all of the words here. But in it, he says, deep throw my 9-inch, gut from the front and grind from the side. I was getting grab her, slap her butt. She's screaming like she's dying. Make her come 4 times without even trying.
I will not lie. The first time I heard that song was in church.
Hey, McKinley. Wait a minute, time out. McKinley, Kenny Millis said, that's the one that asked about the parents being in control of the music. Where'd you hear it, Jen? Where'd you hear it? Where was that at?
It was a group of girls in church. They were playing it in the fellowship hall.
Fellowship? Make a joyful noise. Okay.
It was. And I mean, so we talk about, I was in church on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. And that is where I heard that song.
Please know that my youth choir, because I said I'm churched, my youth choir, they let us plan our visit to our sister church in Atlanta. It may or may not have coincided with Freaknik. Please know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Church ones is the worst ones. So please know that the kids are listening to this stuff, and don't assume that because they're in church that they're listening to Hezekiah Walker or the Mighty Clouds of Joy. Understand that when the kids get together, this is what happens. They cussing everything. They doing everything.
And as a parent or a caregiver, I feel like I've learned that it's particularly in this field that is my responsibility. I have a dual responsibility to prepare my children for what is happening in the world. Our world is shifting. They have to we talked about this in the other episode. They're having to contend with stuff that we never had to contend with. And as parents, we are having to have conversations that parents probably should have always had.
Yes.
Now it's in our face where you can't, it's almost irresponsible if you don't have the conversation. And then the other side of that coin is that I'm a sex educator. My children live with sex educators. I have textbooks and things around. My 9-year-old asks a lot of questions when I wrote my e-guide and I got them printed, my baby boy was able to recognize my name. And he said, "Mommy, you wrote this book?" I said, "Yes." But my 6-year-old did that. But my 9-year-old said, "Mom, you wrote this book?" "Yes." He said, "Well, what's intimacy?" And I said, "Oh, okay. So we're going to do it." And so I also had to have the responsibility of letting my children know that conversations that we have, other students may not be ready. You can't take all that you learn from my court in the lunchroom, because I'm not trying to come down to the principal's office because everybody's not prepared. But then at the same time, know that there are certain things that is non-negotiable. So I had to have a conference at camp one day because my son was saying penis, and I'm like, well, what else?
And
what else would you want him to say? And so I get it, but as parents, when you have that conversation, what you do here, you prepare for peace, prepare for war in times of peace. So you prepare your children here while you're sitting here having these you have these conversations, so that when they go out in the world, they know how to take in what's being said. So if they're at a youth group and that's playing, you've had this conversation, so it's not foreign to them. Develop those critical things. Because for me, my first solo trip, I went to New Orleans with the NAACP youth group.
Girls on Bourbon Street.
The same weekend as Essence Fest. And I was 13 years old on Bourbon Street at 1 o'clock in the morning because Miss and her 65-year-old self was in bed at 8 o'clock. So
church group Girl Scouts reaching for some beads on Bourbon Street.
Mom never know, and she still got Russell, so she still don't know. We didn't talk about the child.
But like, what's crazy is like you go through life, right? So like, I know how I was as a child. I know what I was like in middle school. I knew what I was like in high school and college. And like, we get to adults and we have kids, and we're like, oh no, we're not going to talk about this. I knew what you were doing. I knew what my mom was, like, and so like. It's like we get to adulthood and we forget all of a sudden of what it was like to be young or youthful, and like the urges and like the thoughts that you were having. And then
different. It's not your kids. Your kids are angels, or they're not doing that. Okay. But I know my son is 16. I know what I was doing when I was 16. I was with his daddy. So So we do forget that what we were like as children, but it's also like we think that somehow if we don't expose them to it, they won't get exposed. Or like you were talking about your kids, what's normal at my house? It's normal in my house when I come home from a pleasure workshop, I put all the toys in the sink so I can wash them, or my husband will wash them for me. My son will be like, I can't wash dishes if your dick's in the sink. That's normal at my house. The concept of normal is subjective.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So what's normal at somebody else's house ain't normal at your house. And so we have to make sure it's not just one conversation. Yep. Having these talks, this is a constant thing, and you're building the rapport with your children to be that trusted, askable adult. And we forget that they're paying attention to everything. Little pitchers have big ears. They're watching everything we do. So we may think that we're creating this safe space for them. But all the stuff, they hear us talking about our friends, they hear us talking about people on TV and our reactions to stuff we hear on radio and music and things, and all that's going in our file as well. So, I know I can't talk to her about that. Well, I know I can't say this around her, or she can't never find out about this. You know what I'm saying? So just like we were with our parents, we think we're the cool parents. Please know that our kids think we stupid.
Absolutely.
My children think I'm dumb. I have 23, 21, 16, and 4, and they all think I'm stupid. Until I catch them, they never get away with anything. They don't get away with nothing.
I may not speak on everything, but I see everything. It's and little stuff. My son said something. He was spelling out Bach, B-A-C, and I was like, Johann Sebastian Bach, and he was like, I said, yes, I know things. Like,
you just know mommy stuff.
And it's fun. And the thing that when you think about other areas of like blind spots, if you will, if this like video games, like my son plays Fortnite. I hate it. I don't want them to play. They play online. They talk to strangers. To my 6-year-old, learned this word nutsack. And I was like, what? And what are we talking about? And so then I had to clarify testicle and have conversations. Like, he knows his body parts and things like that. And I even noticed that the conversation somewhere in his world was shifting because penis, he started to whisper it. And so, certain jokes he started sniggling and giggling about it. And I realized that our free conversation about body parts and naming them somewhere else becomes funny. And that's not abnormal. Kids laugh. You say penis in the lunchroom, everybody's going to laugh, everybody's going to fall out. People drawing it on bathroom stalls and stuff like that. So I had to reiterate, because that's the other thing, is that you can't just have the conversation once. You have to continue to have the conversation and pay attention and know your particular child. There's conversations that I can have with Kaden that I can't have with Carter, and not a matter of the age thing. It's about a personality. And there's a way. It's the way that you do it. And I think that we slightly got. This is a great conversation, so I really don't even mind. But
no, you talk about Uchiwali. We can talk
about Uchiwali and the line about make her come 4 times
without even trying.
And so that's like a sense of pride to some, you know what I mean? And then even this, because there's a bunch of stuff in these lyrics, even about this, my 9-inch. I don't know if Nasir has what he says he has.
Well, that was Horse. That was not Nasir. And Horse has a 9-inch because I've seen it. However.
Oh, see, this is how you know I don't know this music. Ain't that terrible?
But see, that's why I got my tongue pierced with that he was like, little young thing, go around my face with your tongue ring. I was like, hey, I had 2 tongue rings at the same time because of that song.
And so when I think about like unrealistic expectations and think that 9 inches is not common.
Right.
9 inches
it's a blessing. It's a blessing.
Doesn't make you less than a person.
Right.
And the other thing is that, lady, sister, whoever you are out there, it's okay not to want 9.
It is okay. It is okay.
9 inches might be too much for you. And so, and then the idea of don't want no eeny, meeny, teeny, weeny.
Mm-hmm. Short man.
Or take me
or
up.
1 minute man from
1 minute man.
No, 1 minute.
Now you're sitting up here timing, like, hold up, and
this is
9 seconds.
And that was my overall point when I started this conversation is that this way of being, like how much are, like when we have things like these sexually explicit lyrics and some of these like unrealistic fantasies and porn and things like that, how does that really reduce our access to, or if at all, do you agree that it could possibly reduce our access to this pleasurable, mind-blowing sex that we are journeying for?
So, I mean, I think it can. I think, I mean, I go both ways on this. I think, you can look at it and be like, so I'm trying all these different things, and I don't actually really like these things. And like, my body is not going to bend that way, And so,
and don't try to make a Sprite can disappear in your mouth. Like, don't do that. Like, some people can, but like, a Goody, I
wasn't even gonna say nothing. But
but the thing is that it's just like, it's almost like this idea of having to measure up.
Yeah,
it creates it's just like porn. It creates this unattainable expectation. The 9 inches, the minute man, even like now. Okay, so I teach dick writing classes, partner on top workshops, and every time I post a workshop about that specific subject, people, I got to get these Meg Thee Stallion knees, and I got to ride to the tip top, and and I call it pussy rap. Excuse my language. I call it pussy rap because that's all they're doing. They're rapping about just like the men do. They rapping about their prowess, and they're inflating and they're exaggerating and all these things. And it's just like, it creates. So if you're not doing that, you feel like you're not having the best sex you can have because you're not doing that, or you feel like you're missing out on something, like the concept of the vaginal orgasm and all of this stuff. People, am I normal because I don't have a vaginal? Listen.
I mean, Megan Thee Stallion is also 20 something, or isn't she like in her 20s? Like, I'm about to go after this call, go Bengay my back because it hurts. Like, I'm not gonna have.
I mean, so in my class, we don't even use our knees. Like, I don't even, because I want people to understand that you don't have to be on your knees and on the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're talking about pleasure and stroking your partner with your body and things like that. So it's important that, I wasn't on purpose, but I'm glad it happened. But we have these talks. We have to, as educators, as consultants, as people in this field, I talk about, the pleasure like it's Tupperware. You know what I'm saying? So we have to then be more vocal. It's on, to dispel these myths that are created. And it's not impossible to do the things that are coming about in music, but most men don't have a 9-inch dick. Most men don't. They're not necessarily minute men, but they may last a song or two. And
it's all night long for hours and hours.
Yeah, I've been all day. Now if you've had it, then you've had it. But if you haven't, you're not lacking because that's not your experience.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? And I think people are putting their health at risk trying to do these things. I think people are putting their sanity at risk trying to do these things. People think they swingers, but they not because they heard it on the radio. Or people thinking they can do, threesomes, but they can't because they don't have that communication. It's a lot of different. I won't say peacocking, because we think these people are doing. Like, people think, I'm sure, in what we do, people think we probably at home swinging off chandeliers and having sex 7 times a day. Because people are like, oh, I know your husband happy. Listen, he likes me with my clothes on. That's what. I don't understand.
If I was an accountant, he would still be happy.
I was an accountant before I started doing this.
Yeah, of course.
So, I think it sets up false expectations just like porn. It's very, very similar in that way. And because these are Black people that are doing it, it's even more relatable. It's even more, they look like somebody we know. They're right. Like social media makes us feel like they're our friends. Social media makes me feel like they're
our family, our community.
As we know them. So we have, we know these people, then what they're doing, we believe them because we know them. It's different with porn because you're not with your porn folk, you're not gonna see them. Most of them I don't even know what their clothes on. Right. But if it's like an artist that I like, I feel like their music is tied to important parts of my life and all these other things. And so I feel this intimacy with these people. So I don't think that they're lying to me. So I must be missing out if they making a come 4 times without even trying. He didn't talk about the work that go into that.
Right. Right. And so that's the other part. So two things, like it's one part to what you said. It's like where it's a connecting, like I know them, I look like them and things, but also at the same time, like for me to be Black, it's almost like certain sexual prowess and sexual behavior or interests are dependent on my level of Blackness. And there was a where certain activities Black women didn't do.
Or they didn't talk about it.
Allegedly. Like that's white woman, certain things that's white woman stuff, or certain sexual activities that's white people.
Or they were white, but like you were doing it in the bed, like you were doing it behind closed doors, but like out of that was white people.
You would have this like, oh no.
Yeah.
And it's just like there is an individuality to sex that is not appreciated. Like the essence of just who you are, what you like, it's okay. And if you have this partner who's had partners in the past, even for, folks of faith, if you've had a partner that's had partners in the past, your sexual resume does not qualify you for every single job. Like just because this one was hollering and screaming and jumping off roofs and things like that for that one tongue trick that you did, when you come here, I don't like that. It makes me feel funny. Like why are you doing that? I don't like that, or put a little bit more pressure. And so even that idea that there is, again, this way to be, and it's almost like when you say stuff like I can make her come 4 times without even trying, it's almost like I don't have to, what that says to me is I know what I'm doing. I don't have to check in with you on what you like, what you don't like. And there's a lot of women who are in situations or have experiences where, again, things are just happening to them, as opposed to like the young lady who had by the name of Kaya, who was very, very specific about what she wanted, where, and how. And it was like this remake of Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes. She remade that song with My Neck and My Back.
And I hate that song so much. I hate that song so much.
Why do you hate it?
Girl, I hate it because, first of all, I heard the edited version first.
Okay.
And then I heard the real one and I was taken aback. So, doing this work, even though we know about a lot of stuff, we don't do everything. And anal play is one of them lines in the sand for me. And so everybody, it come on and everybody get out, and I was just like, nope, no, thank you. No, please. No, please.
And that's like, that's how I felt about, and not only is it like, nah, I'm not doing that, but also like BV and yeast infections, when this whole idea of like truffle butter.
Yeah. Oh, please don't. I don't have a physical gag reflex, but I have like a mental.
Yeah. And so the thing you think about, first of all, I thought truffle butter, Urban Dictionary will learn you some stuff. If you
thought it was mushrooms.
And so I thought truffle butter was just like the cumulative juices from anal play.
That's not where I thought you were going. Okay.
I thought it was food. I was like, that sounds delicious. Truffles and
butter.
butter.
Some fries.
I thought it was truffles and butter.
I had to get put on to that. I also had to get put on to groceries, and I was just like, well, where are my antennas? Because I wasn't sure I don't know where I was going to do. But when you think of something like truffle butter and rugged that, people dig that up and they want to show how nasty they are, how they down for whatever. But BV and yeast infections, and no, don't do that. Like, and they say it so loud and proud, and I'm like, no. And like, it's just like this, the nastiest you can be, the wettest you can be, or how much you can handle. And then it's like, even that idea of like beating up and things like that is just like all this objectification, because it's like, if you not, at one point, if you wasn't sore or walking funny, then it wasn't right. Or if you didn't like that much pressure, then you couldn't take it. And it's all of these, again, unrealistic expectations, these specific ways of being, and these like almost, we aspire, some of us, to reach these heights unnecessarily, where like we could be pretty vanilla, and that'd be okay. And when I went to Widener, I was like, I thought I was cool, but after my first SAR, I was like, oh, I'm basic. Like,
I'm good out here.
Call me basic, call me vanilla, call like y'all do your thing, but we good.
Mm.
And so in my friend group, I'm the one. Like I'm like, girl, Brittany, you did it. But then when I went around some people that was really, really
You was reaching for pearls to clutch. You was like, I need.
oh no, I was like, that's okay. I'll be vanilla. Call me.
I mean, true story. Like that was why when I was a little hesitant about joining these talks, I was like, I do policy. I'm nervous.
No, but it's important because you had said something. I want you to share it about when we were in the pre-show about how these images make advocating for policy more.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things that make sex ed and policy really challenging. We talk about pleasure, right, in sex and sex education. We talk about this month celebrating masturbation, right? And I feel like I'm echoing. Sorry.
Because you got one info.
Oh, is that? I don't even think this is.
No.
I'm gonna just try, and I'm sorry for the echo friends who are in the comments. What I will say is, what's challenging about policy and sex education is like the very thing that the opposite, like the far right, the opposites, the whoever are saying, oh, you're teaching our kids, are the very people that are like, you're having to walk the fine line about, yes, I want you to learn about pleasure and like all of these things. But I also have to get this past a very conservative landscape, which is really challenging. And I get questions all the time. So the organization that I work for, we work on the National Sex Ed Standards, and you don't actually see pleasure reflected in the National Sex Ed Standards. That's because you cannot get that. It would be really challenging to get that in schools. And so there's a disconnect between what we want our young people to know, what we know they need to know, and like what realistically can happen. And so I get yelled at quite a bit by the folks in this field. Like, you didn't talk about pleasure. You didn't talk about all of these things.
You can. You can. Right. Not only a lot of people assume that pleasure is not something that needs to be taught or addressed. People think that pleasure is something that is innate, that just happens because you have these genitals or you have these body parts. So we don't even address the part of the fact that it has to be something that's taught. And then it's like, how far do we go with it? Are we going to instruct these children on pleasure? There are grown-ups that think squirt is pee. There are grown-ups that don't know that there are 13 different kinds of orgasm. So how do you think the children,
right?
The same conservative folk, if they had these 13 orgasms, maybe they'd be a little more reticent to sign some shit. I don't know. But it's hard because we can't, there's such a conservative nature of this country. And they view it as a commodification of sex, the transactional of sex. And so when we talk about pleasure, it's more than just for reproduction. It's more than just, if we can't step outside of, it's outside of marriage, sex outside of marriage, we can't talk about, because it's like condoms in schools. They think it's giving them permission to have sex. No, it's giving them permission to protect themselves against pregnancy and infection is what it's doing.
But folks who are saying,
it's like insurance for your car.
It's
insurance for your car.
Of folks saying consent. Consent is no longer about consent. It's about, oh, I'm consenting. I'm now teaching you that saying yes to sex is okay. So they don't want to teach consent anymore. And I'm looking at the state of Texas because this is where it's really showing up lately. And this idea that if we teach consent, that I'm giving you permission to go and have sex.
Okay. It's education. Like, I have car insurance, not because I want to have permission to have accidents, but if I get in an accident, I want to be protected and prepared.
And y'all steadily won't let me get my tag without car insurance. So like, so
I think that argument is just really crazy.
Yeah. And even to think about consent and the shift from no means no into what true, consent, enthusiastic consent actually looks like, and for those who feel like comprehensive sex ed is not necessary or not really recognizing how how vast it is, and how there is age appropriate conversation for each one, and how you have conversation and giving children autonomy to choose who they hug and when they hug and whose lap they get to sit on, and even asking, can I borrow your toy? And those are all building blocks to when they have to navigate a consent in relationships and things like that. But folks can't seem to, they only see these I call all my students babies, and even though they're 17 years old, but the thing is that they see these children as almost like infants that they need to protect, if you will, but then it turns into policing, which then turns into creating another generation of ill-prepared and ill-equipped.
Yep. Because it's not control. Again, like parenting, it's not about control, it's about guidance. But if we're not even going to allow ourselves and make space for that guidance, then we're not setting them up for success. And as parents and as teachers and as leaders and as educators and as policymakers, our job is to prepare people for success. Whatever that looks like to them. And we're not able to do that because of what they go to these far extremes instead of understanding that those are extremes, those are outliers.
Sure.
Oh, you're teaching them how to do this. I don't think masturbation should be taught in school. We're not talking about teaching people techniques for masturbation. Right. We're talking about having the conversation that is normal and natural and private. We're not talking about, but we're not teaching our kindergartners about trans and gay folk. We're teaching them that respect is free.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And they're like, oh my God, you're teaching your kids they can be trans and they can be, first of all, there are a lot worse things to be.
Right. Racist.
Secondly, respect is free. If we teach and normalize and if we normalize respect, I don't have to agree to understand. I don't have to understand to agree, but I can respect it from over here and move on. But I think the extremes that we have in our policy making areas and that we have these two extremes. We have the right and the left, and because they can't seem to reconcile, that's the way that's the way we show up in the world as a country. And that's the way we show up when it comes time to make decisions around policy and what we deem appropriate and what we deem necessary, because we don't even think about the middle of the road. We're thinking about the extremes.
It's always a very polarized conversation. This was so good and so much fun. I truly appreciate you all for coming.
Goody, I'm so glad you told me about the comments. I'm like, now I'm seeing folks I know. Hey, Tanya. Hey, Lex. Brittany, Ryan. Hey, friend.
Hi, Tia, Lex, Tanya.
Yeah.
Hey, Lex said, come on, twins. I'm like, yeah.
Right?
I didn't get the memo.
I can't believe that you didn't know what Live Crew was.
Okay. Anyway, as we close out, I would like us to close out with two things. Just let the people know what you're working on, how they can support you in any way, as well as if there was one song that you could rewrite.
Oh, wow.
Would it be and why?
Whoa.
Dang, you should have prepped us with that question.
Right. Off the dome? I don't know.
Oh, and also, y'all remember that song? This is why y'all thinking. Y'all remember that song? I can't think of the name of it, but I know it was Whitney Houston, and we were singing it at the top of our lungs as children. But in the video, that man was married.
Saving All My Love.
Yeah.
Nippy was something. What?
We were singing all kind of shit. We ain't had no business, but that was.
Let me tell you how terrible this is. The song "Doing the Butt."
You told me about this.
Let me say something. I'm 32. I was 32 when I found out that that doing the butt is a dance.
Cut. We're done.
Get in the butt.
It's over.
I thought it was do it in the butt.
Do you know why you didn't know that? Because you ain't see that movie.
What movie?
I'm closing my laptop.
No, don't do it. Listen, me and black movies, my friend, please don't get them started because my friends are watching and they already get me all the time. As a bunch, I probably didn't see it, whatever it is. What is it? What movie is it?
Was it School Days?
Oh, I definitely didn't see that.
You didn't see School Days?
No. That's not what we're talking about.
School party, remember?
Okay, we're fine.
Anyway, right. I was 8 years old at every block party saying, ain't nothing wrong when you do it in the butt. all night long. Like I was like, this is a terrible song, but that's not what you're saying. So I apologize.
Oh my God.
I apologize. But anyway, how can we support you, Goody? How can the people, somebody in the comments said it was School Days. Don't judge me. Don't, oh your gosh, this is free, judgment-free zone.
No,
we're watching that movie after this, though. We're gonna watch it together.
We're about to do a streaming. That's what we're gonna do. We're streaming Black movie.
How can we oh my gosh, she said my whole name. How can we support you, and what song would you change if you had the power to?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
So support me. So these shirts that we're rocking right now, I sell these shirts to SEX EDU because I am hip hop. I am sex and hip hop, loving hip hop. And it comes in different colorways too. I got hoodies, I got tote bags. Get you one. Also, my workshops. I teach Riteology, which is my partner on top workshop. I teach Lick, which is my oral sex on the penis workshop. I teach Lip Service, which is my oral sex on the vulva workshop. Toy parties, all the good fun stuff. I also do SARS now, thanks to Lex and Bianca. I do SARS. And I actually have Riteology is coming up on Saturday, and the tickets are only $12 on askgoody.com, ASKGOODY.com. I have a Lick online that's coming up next Wednesday as well, and that's $25 without a dildo and $45 with a dildo, but the window for a dildo is over. And yeah, and a song I would rewrite. Ooh. There's a song by there's a song by Cameron them. Dipset, Diplomats. Homeboy, I came to party. Your girl was looking at me. I will rewrite that because that's my shit. Because I used to I already in my mind I remix songs. If it's a dude singing it, I remix it to make it for a chick singing it. So like, yo, dude was looking at me. You know what I'm saying? Like if I would, so I always do that anyway. It'll probably be that just because that beat just it was like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like it makes me happy.
Awesome, Jennifer.
So how can you support me? It really isn't about me. It's my thing about supporting me. What I really would love for you to do is get invested in policy. So the policy wonk and nerd in me is gonna shout out policy in every which way I can. Feel free to get connected with me, jdriver@secus.org. There is a federal piece of legislation, the Earn It Act, which would prevent folks from accessing sex education online. What it does is it puts up red flags and roadblocks and would block off specific websites. It was introduced by Lindsey Graham and Senator Richard Blumenthal. I will mention that as two. Thank you, Tanya. I will mention that. So it's some policy stuff that's happening. I'm happy to tell you about the policies in your state. It's an election year. There's a lot of stuff to turn out for. There are a lot of ballot measures that we don't generally pay attention to that were really important. There's a lot of state folks forget. I mean, we are trying to remove Trump, but there's a lot that's happening at the state level that local does matter. A lot of judges that are being put into place, and these are lifetime appointments. So it's really, really important that we take a look at policy. And so if you want to wonk out on policy, all things, I am your person. I will talk to you anytime before 8:45 because that's when I go to bed.
Is that Eastern Standard Time or Central or?
Eastern. So I will stay up because my mom is on Central and from Alabama, but ideally if we could get there, 8:45 Eastern, that's when I deuce out. I am also speaking at the ASAC conference. I think I'm the closing person. I've said this a couple of times. I'm hoping that that's correct, but I am the closing speaker talking about the national sex ed standards and some wins with the standards and where the standards are really just like the baseline, how we can take it a step further and like what we should be doing. And recognizing like the challenges of being a Black woman in a lot of these white-led organizations and non-Black women-led organizations and what you can and can't get done. A song that I would remake only because my niece was singing it the other day, which is still sitting with me in a very awful way. It's the Aaliyah Age Ain't Nothing But a Number. And I was like, oh, hold on. We need to have conversations because that is incorrect. And so I would like to remake that song just for her in particular.
Like reclaim his whole like.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, and I loved Aaliyah. I would be singing the one I gave my heart to. Hadn't given my heart to anybody yet, but standing in the mirror, just hitting that note.
That ain't been nowhere. Rock the boat.
Listen,
not rocking shit, but yeah.
I wrote 4-page letters. Okay, I wrote them because of her. I rocked the boat. I was in a pageant, and that was the swimsuit song. So every time I hear "Rock the Boat," I just go.
No, I got to a page and a half, and I was like, you know what, I'm done. This is
girl, you gotta write and stay in the margin.
Yeah, so I'm double spacing this.
So I want to thank you all so much. You can support the Intimacy Firm by either booking a coaching session, which I have reduced COVID-19 quarantine rates for. I still have my intimacy e-guide on sale on my website. You also can support me by supporting my sisters. Anything that they said that they need of any of the panelists that have been on these last couple of weeks, they've done this for me for free because I don't have no money to give them. So you can support me by pouring into them. Their Cashapp, PayPal, Venmo information is in the description. So jump into them. And then also tune in tomorrow for episode 6. Our final episode, we'll be looking at sex ed and the child welfare system. And foster care youth are something that's near and dear to my heart, as I was a child welfare supervisor for 6 years and seen all manner of issues. And so we'll be talking to Natasha Wilson and Tia Roberts tomorrow. They both had experiences in the child welfare system, so we'll be looking at what that was like. The song that I would change, so y'all know that I'm a gospel rewriter already. Y'all remember when my Bodak
talent.
My Bodak Yellow remix went viral. That's the first time I went viral, and it was way too much. The viral is not all it's hitting for, because them comments, I was up to 4:00 in the morning getting with people. People was talking about my list, and I was like, first of all, well, who you talking to? And I was, this is supposed to be gospel evangelism. Like, I can't be getting with these people. And I also remade Truth Hurts by Lizzo. And so I want to do Rider by Megan as the gospel version, but I've been told that the beat alone makes it not praiseworthy. But I feel like once I get the lyrics together, people won't really be feeling it.
Like trap praise is a thing.
It's definitely a thing.
I mean, if you listen to DC radio on Sundays, like early in the morning, I see someone did a shout out to Go-Go Music. I'm here in DC. Like, if you listen to DC radio in the morning, you can hear trap.
This is gospel. Y'all get it.
Because when you did the Some Cut, I was like, what it is, God? What's up?
Hey!
I was here for it. I'm always here for it.
Love it. I love it. So again, thank you, ladies, so much. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll be back here tomorrow at the same time, 8:00. And
Hey, Brittany McBride. Hi, Brittany.
Big announcement tomorrow about my VULVA and Me series and what's next for it. So make sure you tune in, because you may get to be a part. So we are
jamming for Jesus. Jamming for Jesus.
This is awesome. Thank you so much for having. This was great.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too.
Jesus before it was the Intimacy Firm. But I don't think Juicy for Jesus was going to get as much traction as the Intimacy Firm.
I don't like that one.
You don't like Juicy for Jesus?
It sounds like some pimping. I don't know.
All right, so we are out. Y'all ladies stay on for a second, but thank you, everybody. See ya.
Thank you.
Bye. Shayla, check your mail. There's something coming for you.
Hold on.